Hey people, I'm back again. Trying to sort out the lighting in here. It's not the best. Ah, there we go. So this is my second Facebook Live today. My second Facebook Live video ever. Firstly, I just want to thank all those people who have liked my previous video. It only takes a second to do a like, but it means a lot. Secondly, all those who have liked and posted comments. I haven't had a chance to look at them all. Just been mad busy today. But I've had a glance at a few, and it's very humbling, and I do promise I will get back to you all individually. Hey John, welcome, how you doing? Hopefully see you at Qua's wedding. Anyway, the reason I'm recording this video is to talk about why, or the reason why we do things, and this has been a massive thing for me, trying to figure out my reason why pretty much since age 16, doing my GCSEs, not really knowing what was the point of doing them. Yeah, I got decent results, but if I applied myself, I could have got even better results. And really, up until now, really struggling to find out what my reason why is. And I've tried a lot of different business ventures, and for me, at the age I am now, and knowing who I am, which has been a big part of this, whenever I start something and the going gets tough, I tend to back away or stop doing it. And the reason that is because my reason why hasn't been strong enough. When I get things going, all the enthusiasm there, all the potential's there, but as soon as that kind of wears off, and like I say, things get tough, I kind of back out. And it's been because my reason why hasn't been strong enough. And over the years, I've observed a lot of people doing working in their passion. I've heard a lot about what's your passion, what's your passion, what's your passion. It's like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm seeing all these other people, and it's fantastic for me to see. I love seeing people working or doing what they're passionate about, and it frustrates me when I see people who are gifted and have a passion for something, and they're not doing it. They're stuck in a job they don't like, and they're just frustrated. And hopefully along the line, I can help some of these people to help them figure it out. But for me, a question that kept coming back and back and back over again, and I do apologise, guys. This may be a long video, but this is, like I say, very important to me. It's like, what's my passion? What's my passion? What do I like? Yeah, I like football. I like watching football. I used to want to play football. Can I make a career out of that? And can I make a living out of that? And with a family coming along, get a bit older, I very rarely watch any football now. And if I do, I'm usually so knackered I fall asleep. So trying to figure that out has been a massive thing, and seeing other people kind of moving on in their passions, which is great for me to observe. It's kind of felt like I've been getting left behind, and especially in my family. I want to give a shout out to all my Daniel's family members. A lot of them are working in their passions, and they're making a lot of great moves. They've worked hard for it. Don't get me wrong, they've worked hard, but they're making a lot of great moves, working in what they're passionate about. And I kind of feel like, well, what am I going to do? I've got certain aptitudes, I've got certain skills. But I've been playing it safe all these years. A few times I've come out of my comfort zone, but I've been playing it safe all these years. And kind of a game changer for me was, hey, you're telling me how you doing, man? I kind of flipped that question round. And sometimes when you look at something from a different perspective, it gives you a total different outlook of things. And instead of looking at, well, what's my passion, I was kind of thinking, what frustrates me? When I speak to people and they ask me a certain subject, what gets me ranting and raving? And a number of things come to mind. And out of that, kind of three projects I've decided I'm gonna commit to for the foreseeable. There's other things that will hopefully come off the back of that, but kind of three things. So I'm just going to talk about these three things, and hopefully by looking at things this way, hopefully I help some of you out there that perhaps are feeling the same thing. So kind of like my first thing, which is why I'm doing this Facebook thing, is kind of like when I was growing up, I was very shy. Didn't know who I was. Wouldn't say boo to a goose. Very conscious of eye contact. Now I can give people eye contact, but before I could never give people eye contact because I could feel like they were looking into me, and I could see how nervous, how sure of myself I was. And it's funny how people perceive me, because I'm quite tall. I've always been quite tall for my age. You look at me, you think, oh, on the outside he must look confident, but I wasn't. I wasn't at all, and that was picked up upon as secondary school. So I got bullied. Plus, at the same time, there was my appearance at the time, and me and fashion have a kind of an interesting relationship, because I don't like to follow trends. And just to give you an example why, I had an afro when I was at school, and it was a battle to get my hair cut. My mum would pay to get my hair cut, but my granddad used to cut it very occasionally. But I had an afro, and I was picked on because of that. And nowadays, the last few years, there's people walking around with much bigger afros than me, and that's in fashion, and that's how fickle fashion is. So I don't, I don't tend to follow fashion, because of that. What is in one day is what is out, and people at school, they can be very cruel, and they can pick up on these things and bully you for it. So I was very unsure of myself. I'm not going to go into it all today, because we'll be here all night. But I don't want people to go through some of the things I went through. I mean, unfortunately now I'm kind of like on the other side. I've learned how to deal with my shyness in a number of ways. But what I've learned about myself is that I'm introverted, which is kind of different. Introverted and shyness is kind of different, but similar in the same case. Which means I don't mind spending time by myself. I like to read. I like to do things by myself. Um, I'm a quiet person at heart, but I've learned how to, in certain situations, how to be extroverted. But if I was to be extrovert all the time, if I was to be surrounded by people all the time, it drains me. It literally drains me. I need my space to myself. Just ask my wife. Um, as much as I love her, I need my space, and that's who I am as an introvert. But when you're going through school, if you're not an extrovert, or you're not acting an extrovert, there seems to be something wrong with you. But there's nothing wrong with you at all. So kind of thinking about that kind of frustration, and how that literally at times crippled me and stopped me from developing or moving on as much as I could have, I thought, well, why don't I share my message? Why don't I share my story, people, to kind of inspire people, and to see that you can come out on the other side. So I've decided, and it seems a bit of a contradiction for someone who's shy, who wants to now become a public speaker, and even saying it to myself just shows how far I've come to be even consider it. So one thing I've decided to do now is become a public speaker, to talk about my life, talk about shyness, talk about introvertness. And not saying I have all the answers. I've got some wonderful program that you can sign up to, but just to share that story with someone will hopefully inspire someone to say, okay, this is what he's been through. I can resonate with that, and he's doing all right now, and hopefully inspire someone from that. So that's kind of like the first kind of thing I'm working for. But it's not a passion of mine as such. It may turn into one. It's not a passion. I don't wake up out of bed and say, right, I want to be a public speaker. It's because of my frustration. And like I say, when spinning it on that way gives me far more drive. So when I'm feeling like I don't want to do this, I don't want to dress, I just think about me helping someone, and that's going to give me the fuel to power on. So that's kind of the first thing. The second thing is education. And this here, this whenever people speak to me about education, I just go off on one. I start ranting and raving for about 20 minutes, and after a while I kind of got a motto. It's okay to have a moan. We all like to have a moan, but after a while, if you're moaning about the same thing, is either you do something about it, or accept the situation and shut up. That's kind of like my black and white take on things. So education, right, I'll try and keep this one brief. My education, linked to my shyness, was, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm only talking about the general state education system, because that's all I know, and that's what my kids have experienced so far. I'm sure private education is different, and it's I don't think it's a coincidence that people in leadership, prime ministers, etc., all seem to have a private education. Why is that? That's a question for a different day. So my experience of the general state education was, as far as I'm concerned, I was just taught how to pass exams. I was taught how to get a grades on a piece of paper. As soon as I passed the exam, crammed in that knowledge, probably literally the next day, half of it was forgotten. half of it I'm not going to use. But that's always the case with theory. We'll never apply all the theory that we use. But I was just, as far as I'm concerned, I was just taught how to pass in exams. I wasn't taught how to public speak. I wasn't taught how to manage my finances. Um, so many things I wasn't taught how to cook. My first cooking lesson, literally, um, I was told how to shown how to make toast and tea. My memory doesn't serve me well. I'm sure I was learnt things from that, but always sticks in my head. My first lesson was taught how to make toast and tea. Anyway, so um, yeah, my education. There's no entrepreneurship. Do you know what I mean? How to address it? Not so. For example, public speaking. Not so everyone could go out and be a public speaker, but to know how to address yourself in public. To know how to put yourself across in the best way. Because at the end of the day, if me and person A, B, and C, we all got the same results, what's it going to come down to? It's going to come down to our achievements, our personality, how we come across on an interview, our life experiences. And yes, you can say this should all come from our parents in an ideal world, yes, but we don't live in an ideal world. And parents, especially in this day and age, it is quite funny with all this technology we've got. We seem to be busier than ever. We seem to be more stressed out than others. Parents are trying to make ends. I'm generalising, but parents seem to be trying to make ends meet to support their kids. So it's been left down to the school system. Now look at and I don't blame the teachers at all. I've got family who are teachers, and putting my own children through the state education. I've always tried to work with the schools. I'm not one of these people who think send your kids to school and that's it. Always try to work with the schools. But just think about this: teachers are teaching 30 plus children at a time. It only takes one or two of those children to misbehave, and that lesson turns into a behaviour management lesson. 30 children, 30 individual children. How can one teacher effectively know the needs of that individual child? They can't. And this is my thing with the general state system, is like a one size fits all system. When I was at school, I'm a person who learns best through applying stuff. See, this is why I was very keen with this public speaking, is that I just didn't want to learn the theory, because I'm very good at research. I'm very good at researching all the options, and with the internet nowadays, if I'm going on holiday, I'm going down every avenue to find the best price. That's me. So I'm good at it, and I think I've got a skill for it. But at the end of the day, I could have spent a million and one years researching how to public speak. The other thing is I'm a perfectionist as well. I think I said that in my first video. And perfectionists are never satisfied. I could have spent all the time researching it, perfecting my art before I start doing it. But no, I've decided I'm just going to go ahead and do it. That's why you see me with dodgy lighting and probably, you know what I mean? I'm not looking my greatest at the moment. But I'm just doing it and just taking action. I need to make myself take action. I start to lose my track here, but anyway. So with this general state system, it's just like I say. For me, it was theory. I would have learned best having an apprenticeship, but back in those days, it was just coming at the end of the YTS scheme. For those who remember the YTS scheme, and apprenticeships were abolished, so there was no apprenticeship for me. Now all of a sudden we've got modern apprenticeships. So I think people are realising that people learn in different ways. There are visual learners, there are people who've got photographic memories, there are people who apply, who learn best through applying, and that's how I put myself in that bracket. If I had an apprenticeship, I would have thrived, because I would have been learning and earning money at the same time. But back in those days, and I'm talking in the 90s here, so not a million years ago, but I was just taught how to pass exams, and because my why, I knew what I didn't want. I knew that I didn't want to work until I was 60, and with one company, and retire on a salary and what have you. Back in that my grandparents' generation, the only way, or the main way to succeed, was to go to university and get your degree. I think we can all agree that that method is outdated to a degree. But I don't blame my grandparents, because that's the generation they were living in, so that's all they knew. But things have moved on now, where a degree definitely does not guarantee you success. And furthermore, it puts you in a load of debt, which is really the first financial lesson this government or whatever teaches you. If you want to study at university, get yourself in a load of debt. What kind of lesson is that? So, and is it any wonder we've got trillion of pounds of debt nowadays? Because people are not taught how to manage money. People are not taught about good debt and bad debt. Where do we get that education? Again, it's usually through doing it, but the kind of wrong kind of doing it, spending money you're not handing over, just seeing papers on statements, and all of a sudden you're in debt. But it's not. It doesn't seem real to people because it's all on paper. And I have had experience of getting into financial difficulties myself through supporting one of my ex-partners who was going through severe depression. I was supporting my mum with a mortgage, and I was supporting her in her own place as well. And I didn't have the money to support both both of my loved ones at the time, so I got into debt. And it was only through coming across a debt charity, thank goodness, that I managed to get myself out of debt and my credit history back on track. But where is that education? So for me, a few years ago, I wrote down on a piece of paper how I'd love there to be in some sort of academy where soft skills are taught: public speaking, financial management, cooking, a whole heap of things. Art, drama, not just your standard. I mean, listen to my daughter is an incredible creative person, artist person. She did art GCSE, and we're waiting for her results. God willing, she gets a great result. She wanted to do a piece of art. The teacher said she couldn't do that piece of art because it didn't fit in with the GCSE curriculum. This is art. This aren't you supposed to? And I'm not very good at art myself, but I'm learning to tap into my creative mind, because I do believe we are all creative. Again, it's the way you're taught and what have you. This is art. You're supposed to be creative, and you're restricting what she can do. Isn't the whole point of art is being creative and thinking outside the box and seeing things that people haven't seen already? And already at that age, they're kind of confining them to what, and that to pass an exam is ridiculous. So, yes, a few years ago, I wrote down this goal, dream, aspiration, whatever you want to call it, about having a place where people can learn soft skills to back up that theory, so that they go into life having the tools to move on in life, and basically just to about mindset as well. I mean, I'm a Christian, so my faith is paramount to me, and God teaches us that we can do anything possible through Him. But in this world, the further you go on, the more chipping: you can't do this, you can't do that. Other people's lack of success perhaps causes them to try and pass that down onto you. Um, about vision, dreams, seeing things which are not there yet. All these things to be taught in some sort of a academy, so that just to know that you can do anything that you could put your mind to. So I wrote this say this dream, this aspiration down a few years ago, and cut a long story short, now I have an opportunity to work with a company who offer an alternative curriculum to the GCSE curriculum, which is another thing I forgot about. Goal setting as well, how to set goals. They do all this, and basically, cut long story short, I'm looking at opening up a faith-based preschool for children. My wife has been involved in childcare for very many years. She's very good at it. She's excellent at it. She's talked in the past about us setting up some sort of childcare business. So this is something I'm looking at. I was supposed to go on the training a couple of times this year, but a couple of life instances have prevented me from going on it. But aside from that idea, I'm seeing a lot of businesses now, just to call out a few: Ultra Kids, Julian Hall, who's teaching young children about entrepreneurship. there's others that escape my mind. Actually, no. Talk about tell a lie. Warren Ryan, I told you about in the first video. Fearless Speaking Academy is just about to set up a youth Fearless Speaking Academy to encourage young children how to love public speaking. Um, and I imagine there's many more of these different types of businesses cropping up all over who are currently. So maybe an idea is to bring them together. I know Peter Jones of Dragon's Den is doing he's got an entrepreneurship college of some sort. So maybe another idea is maybe to pull these businesses together to kind of create why not create an individualized curriculum for a person. And linked off the back of this, my wife and I are praying and debating about home educating our children to give them the individualized education they deserve. My daughter struggled in school. We had to constantly fight with the school for her to get speech therapy, all the support, and it is such a battle. I've got two younger children now, 4 and 3, and I fear for the education system they're going into. So I'm trying to, and if anyone talks to me about education, this is the kind of talk they get, even longer. So after having a few of these talks with people, I thought, well, you know what, let me I was sharp about this, or try and do something about this. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. So that's the second thing. The third thing, and just to touch base on the second thing. So again, it's not because I have a passion to get up and be a teacher. I don't know if I want to be a teacher. I couldn't work. I have thought about it, but I don't think I could be a teacher in this state education system. I'd end up getting fired. I'd be too much of a disruptor to the rules and regulations. And I give full credit to the teachers because of the circumstances they're working under are just so horrendous. Teaching all these children, they can't discipline them effectively, targets, all the rest of it that's going on. I really feel for these teachers, and I think we need to give a shout out to these teachers for and sometimes if there's a teacher who perhaps you don't get on with, you don't have a good relationship, just bear in mind the kind of circumstances, the stresses they're working under. Yeah, they get 6 weeks holiday, but they work pretty much full out prior to those 6 weeks. I mean, I've got my brother and my sister-in-law were in the state education system over here. They got so frustrated they've moved to the Middle East to teach. So these teachers, do you know what I mean? They don't get into teaching. It's not the kind of job you just do because you've got nothing better to do. You've got to have a passion for it, and perhaps through working and experiencing this kind of environment, it chips away at you, like with someone else in any job. So kind of that's like the second thing. My sister-in-law is on the call. Is on here now. Hi, Esther. Right. So the third thing is around. It's all kind of linked to education and shyness and not knowing who I am. Is Black history. So I haven't been taught anything about Black history. I was born and bred in London for 31 years, and now I'm currently living in Ipswich. But my family originated from Ghana. I've been there once 10 years ago, due a trip back. But when I went to Ghana, I don't speak the language. When I went to Ghana, I felt like a foreigner. And not knowing the language was a big barrier to that. Language is not just the words and that, it's culture, it's history. There's so much more to that. People are related to people that they saw me as just a tourist. And yeah, if you want to get down to black and white crudely, they will charge me more in a taxi because I didn't speak the language. That's the kind of basic crude level it goes down to. So for me, my identity, yes, I was born in England, but I don't feel English. My family from Ghana, I don't feel Ghanaian. I've been there once, and I don't speak the language. So fortunately, I have my faith, so you know, I put my faith in God. I've got my identity in God. But other than that, do you know what I mean? Who am I? Am I English or Ghanaian? Am I mixed? What? And the big reason because of that is because I don't know anything about my history. I was never taught anything about my history in school. I don't know anything about my history. So kind of last year, I wanted to change that. So I started looking about possibly a degree I can do in Black history. Again, my why was strong enough because studying and me have a tumultuous relationship, and I knew if when the studying got tough, that drive to learn about my history, to learn about my people, would drive me on. So I started looking for some stuff. And to be honest, if I want to study a degree in Black history, I have to go back to London, or I've got to go to America. Those are the options. More recently, I've heard that Birmingham from next year are going to be the first university to actually offer a Black history degree. So there is some progress being made. So where do you go if you can't physically study somewhere? Nowadays you go to the internet. So I've looked on the internet, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can't find anything. Yes, you can find books, but I'm a man of, I like structure, I like system. So what I was looking for was just like a curriculum of Black history that I could follow, like a home study program. That's what I was basically looking for, was a home study program, and from a UK perspective as well. And I can't find anything. And in this day and age, to me, that's crazy. With all the tools and communication technology we got, I can't find a Black history course. Crazy. So yes, I can moan a while about that, or I can do something about it. So again, one of my third kind of project or whatever is to create an online Black history course. So again, is it my passion to get up? Do I get up in the morning and think, oh, yeah, I want to create a Black history course? No, it's because of my frustrations, and that's what I'm saying. Once I flipped it for not looking at my passions, but looking at what frustrates me, it's a whole different ball game. And in terms of giving me fuel, that anger, that passion, that's my fuel. That's what's going to keep me going. But in all of these things, it's not about me at all. People know me. I'm quite like we've already told you. I'm an introverted person. I'm a quiet person. So all this media stuff is not me. One thing I forgot to say. Sorry for all those people who have been adding on social media. The reason I'm adding you on is to increase my profile, to increase my presence, so that my message reaches more people, and that's it. It'd be great if you could support me in that. It's not because I want more friends on Facebook as such. Like I say, I'm a private person, and my wife has already said to me a couple of times a day, "You hate social media. You hate social media." But I'm saying, look, yes, to a degree I do, but how else could I reach so many people using these tools? So I've got to use these tools and embrace them to reach my message. And it's not necessarily the friends I'm adding, it's the people that they know. They may know someone who I can inspire, who I can work with, because in all of these things, I'm looking. It's not about me. I'm not going to have a school, David Daniels Academy. Being, some people said, "Oh, you're going to be a head teacher." No, I'm not. I'm not looking for that. If anything, I'm looking to be an instigator, because how many teachers are there, for example, who are frustrated, who are thinking, "This is not what I signed up for when I did my studying. I just want to teach. I just want to teach." How many of those teachers are out there that, if they had an alternative, a school where they can teach, they can work with less children to give them more individualized education, teaching about soft skills, how many teachers will jump on board for that? To me, it's a no-brainer. So sometimes in life, and you can look at Steve Jobs and all those entrepreneurs, a lot of them, they're just instigators. They just start something off. For those of you who are employed, for those of you who moan about your employer, at the end of the day, your bosses, or if they did not have that vision to start that business, you would not be an employee. So someone has had the vision to start something, and then obviously needed other people. So especially with a Black History course, because I've just told you I've got practically zero Black History. The only time I became interested in Black History was around Black History Month, and in Ipswich, there's not much going on in Black History. There is some, but it's very hard to find. When it was on my doorstep in London, I never bothered, took it for granted. Now, where there's nothing, I'm trying to address that. So, but I've got zero Black History knowledge, but I know there's people out there in this country who have got the knowledge. So it's not about me. I'm going to do David Daniels Black History course. I'm just looking. I see a problem. I see something I was frustrated with, I feel there's a need for it. There's definitely a need for black people to know their history, especially young black people, and to see some of the role models and inventors and etc. etc. There's definitely a need for it out there. Um, why don't I just find out who these people are who are making moves in Black history or trying to do something, and just ask them the question, or trying to work with them or collaborate or help, or say, look, I was looking for a Black history course online, I haven't found anything. Could you put something together? That's that's the kind of thinking I'm on. It's not about me branding me, David Daniels Black History this and School of that or whatever. I'm just working off my frustrations to move on and to push on and to leave my mark on this world, and to make a difference to my children and all that and all the rest of it as well. So I hope, for those of you who are struggling for your reason why, I hope maybe perhaps looking at things that frustrate you, that could perhaps help you to find out what you want to focus on, or find out what you want to move. For me, like I said, age 16, I knew I didn't want to work for the same person all of my life. I wanted to do something for myself, um, to have freedom of time and just have enough money just to get by. For me, the most important thing for me is time, especially now. Now I've got 3 children. Um, my wife and my daughter recently went to Malta, so I was left with the 2 younger ones. I spent 10 days with them, and I'm still here, I'm still alive, they're still here, they're still alive. So we managed, we did all right. And it was actually good to spend time with them, really good. And now I'm going back to full-time work. All I'm thinking is, how can I spend more time with them? How can I spend more time with them? Maybe becoming a business owner is one way of doing that. You know what I mean? My dad wasn't around when I grew up, and that's a subject for a different day. So for me, um, as parents anyway, we don't get no manual handbook or what have you. For me, in terms of father figures, it was basically my granddad and what I call my unofficial mentor, my friend and my father figure, Audie Cummins, who came into my life when I was 18, and we went into business together. Those are the 2 main father figures I had in my life. Other than that, I'm just working off instincts. I have no manual to go through. So it's, for me, when I pass away on this earth, I just want my children to say that first of all, I spent time with them. I loved them, and I spent time with them, and the rest is a bonus. But I can't spend the time that I want to spend with them working full time for an employer. So I need to find another model. Whether that classes me as an entrepreneur, I kind of feel that that term has kind of been abused. It sounds glamorous and whatever. I'm sure if you speak to any entrepreneur, it's definitely not glamorous on a day to day, and the stuff behind the scenes is definitely not glamorous. But if it helps the world, if it helps the word get out there, and it makes people think, oh, what is an entrepreneur? Maybe I should look into it. Then it's all good. So whether you want to call me an entrepreneur, businessman, blah blah blah, whatever, I'll leave that up to you. I'm just trying to do something that's going to add value, make a mark on this world, and to help change lives, be it from my family to people onwards. So in terms of the public speaking, like I say, I'm a part of a 4-week coaching program with a guy called Warren, and he set up some goals this week, which is one of these is my goals. This is not something I wake up thinking, yeah, I wanna do, but maybe I'll get more comfortable with it. But for me now, it's all about taking action, and definitely with this program, he's making us take action. Challenging us, but ultimately it's good for me. I need to do it, and for me as a perfectionist, it totally goes against my grain, because I'd wait for everything to be perfect. But for me to grow and develop, I need to be doing and then learning from my doing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm going to be posting a lot of different videos I come across about from different people exploring your reason why. Hopefully to again get you guys thinking, for those of you who need it, about your reason why, and hopefully. And the other thing I was saying, if anyone has been nodding their head to some of the things I've been saying about education, and they've got a passion, they want to work with me, or they think, oh, I've got this idea, maybe you can help me with it, I'm definitely into that, because definitely yeah, the public speaking to a degree is me speaking, but I can collaborate with other speakers. But definitely the last two, the education and the Black history, they're massive things. And for me as well, and again on a slight tangent, I'm a guy who plays it safe. I'm a risk averse person. I don't think big. Um, Audie Cummins, if anyone who knows him, he's a massive thinker. Um, he introduced me to a book called The Magic of Thinking Big, about thinking big and whatever. But the reason I've been thinking small is because if I think small, I can achieve it. If I think big, I might fail. I'm a perfectionist. I don't want to fail. I had a fear of failure. But through different things, through connecting with Audie, through the books I've read, from talks at my church, I'm starting to think big. And something someone once said at my church was, think of a goal that can't be achieved in your lifetime. And that kind of resonated with me. This education stuff, I might not see the fruits of my labour at this time. I may not be on this earth when it really comes to be how I envisioned it. It may be that someone else takes on the baton. I might not be the right person to do it. I might just start the flame, start the fire as such. But to think in that way, that think of something that could not be possibly achieved in your lifetime. Wow, that's just taking it to another. That's taking it to another level. So I'm trying to expand my thinking. I'm trying to become more creative in my ideas and just my way of thinking. Just trying to expand that. It wasn't taught to me at school. I'm trying to, and that's where all these kind of ideas are coming from. Some of the education and and all the rest of it. So I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you for all those who have viewed. Thank you so much for all the comments on my first video, and I will catch up on them and respond individually, because they do mean a lot. And if nothing else happens from this day, the last couple of days have really impacted me and made a massive difference to me already. And I got another 4 weeks, another 3 weeks of this. So you're gonna see a bit more of me, hopefully with some better lighting, and I'll try and have a shave. But anyway, I'm gonna shoot off. But thanks for watching. Those who joined. Any comments? Again, anyone who wants to help me and jump on board with any of these ventures, anyone who's already started something and just wants someone to add to that, I'm all on that. If there's something already great going on, it just makes sense to if it's right to jump on that rather than start my own thing. Far more could be achieved together than divided. So yeah, that's it from me, and I'm going to shoot off. See you later. Bye.